Friday.
Good. That's a great point, John Waters. Coach. Well, Coach, I mean, after looking at it, what did you like that Eves brought?
Well, you know, the way he started the game with the intangibles, you know, 2 offensive rebounds, and the fact that he knows what he's trying to do to play it inside out, that is good. But just his intensity and his focus, and he does it every day in practice. And the fact that he went out and did it, I don't think starting mattered one bit to him, one way or the other. I think he knows what his job is, what he has to do each and every time down the court, and he tries to do it.
Is that uncommon for guys to not care about starting, or is that?
Yeah, probably. You know, we've never made a big deal about it. I've always said to you guys that I'd be more concerned about wanting to finish the game and be out there when the last 4 minutes. But I do think it probably matters to some. But I thought Jordan Bowden responded well. Some guys, I don't think it really matters to. I think some guys would really prefer to sit for a few minutes, see how the game unfolds, and get going with it. And so, again, I've never felt like you had to have a set in stone starting group. You keep, and we might keep making changes. It just depends on where we think we are with our team.
Is Lamonte still thinking about his shoulder, maybe anticipating contact, things like that?
Yeah, I think he is. I think that it's very psychological with him right now, where he's got to fight through that, because we can only go by what we know through our medical staff, and I've got 100% belief in them, and they've done and are doing everything they can. But when you've had 2 surgeries, I'm sure there's some psychological things that you have to deal with.
Is there something with the arc on his shot? Is it different? It seems like he's kind of throwing.
Well, yeah, he's changed it. I mean, he's changed his shot more than anybody since I've been here, since I've been with anyone really. And some of it has to do. I mean, he's had 2 shoulder surgeries, and I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, so I understand that it can make you want to bring up your shoulder a different way to keep from getting that little pinch in it. And then it does get to a point where psychologically you got to figure out how to work through it, especially when everything indicates that it's all clear.
Coach, Jordan Bone really seems like he's turned the corner. Is that accurate? I mean, and if so, what do you think has clicked?
Well, I hope so. I mean, the other night it took him a couple minutes to realize at his speed they could get there and try to press him all they want. They couldn't press him, and he needs to understand what we tell him from the beginning. It doesn't matter who we play. There aren't going to be many guys that are going to be quick enough, fast enough to stay in front of him at 94 feet. I can tell you that, because he is as quick and as fast with the ball as anybody. And he's continued to get better defensively. He knows he's got to get better with his off-ball defense. But I do think he's starting to get more of a command of understanding how to run a basketball team. And now the question will be, can he continue to improve in that area?
With his just sort of command and presence out there, is he starting to kind of look like an upperclassman point guard now? It seems like he's so much comfortable in the game. Looks like he's processing it faster.
Well, you hope. I mean, he's a junior now, and getting ready to head into his 3rd conference season here in about a month, and this is when you hope guys get it. He had a lot to learn, and he would be the first to admit that. Really trying to. He's always played basketball, but he's never played it with a purpose. And now he's starting to understand how there is something going on all the time, and his mindset has to be that every time down the floor as a point guard, I'm responsible for getting our team into what we need to get into every time, not just every now and then. He needs to understand broken play situations, what goes on there, and he needs to understand who's doing what throughout the game. And but he's getting better with it. He really is.
Has there been any sort of balance for Admiral between what maybe the NBA told him in terms of feedback to improve his game versus what you guys need on a day in, day out basis for your team?
No, every bit of feedback he's got, he had heard that feedback since he's been here. And I think that the fact is, Admiral, when you go back to where he was as a freshman to where he is today, he has improved his defense 100%. And he still knows he's got to continue to get better. But that's true through life. You don't ever stop trying to get better, but he's focused on trying to do that. I think the other night, offensively, he was very efficient with what he tried to do, but he knows that as a group right now we've got to get better. We're not guarding the ball the way we need to. We're giving up way too many middle drives. We're just a step. It seems like a half a step behind and playing too much catch up, but. This is a tough time of year. There's with our schedule, playing off a couple of days, playing. It's, this time of year, guys want to play, and once the exam starts, it stretches it out that way. But still it's the time of year that you can get better if your mind's in the right place.
Could you, I mean, you talked even back in the offseason that this is, no matter how many guys you have back, it's a new team. Are you a little surprised that you're not further along on defense after you were so good that way last year?
Yeah, a little bit, and I think some of it's lazy. I think some of it is focus. I think there's a lot of things, and I think this team is not, but you know, and your point is great. We should be further along. We probably are further along right now than we were last December, but we should be a lot further along. And the fact is, it's a mindset, and you can say what you want to say. We've proven it. We can do it. It's just a matter of, it goes back to focus and guys being focused on that end of the floor as opposed to, I mean, you watch us play in some games, I think there's guys that their mindset is on the offensive end and it shows up that way in terms of some shot selections and those type things, and it goes back to just being focused on the defensive end the way we need to be.
With people like, I guess, you know, Grant's starting to get more attention, not just, you know, from other teams and other players, but just nationally, people are starting to talk about him kind of being a star with some of his numbers and what he's done. Have you seen any of that change him in any way?
Yeah, you see it all the time with everybody. I mean, you can't help. I mean, everywhere you go, people talking about this, saying that. I mean, they get so many messages from a lot of different people, and the fact of the matter is, it's our job to point out I mean, you watch game tape, you can point all you need to look at. I mean, you can. If he's as good as he, and one thing I will say before I say what I'm going to say, he knows he's got to get better. He knows it. So people can tell him he's this, that, or whatever. He knows where he is. He knows he's got to get better at defending the basketball. He knows he's got to stop turning the ball over. He knows he's got to rebound better. He knows all that. But people look at stat sheet and all that, which is obviously sometimes you want to look at how do you really affect a game like a guy like Yves Pons does without just being out there, the blocks and the things that he does. Grant, the other night, I thought he went back to blocks some shots, but I think a lot of that took off because of Yves. And then Bowden had a block. I think that get one guy starting to do that, it can roll over to the rest of the guys on the team. But there's no doubt these guys hear all this, they see it, and what you have to do is make sure it doesn't. I think every team this time of year is fragile in their locker room. Because, you know, other players can look around and say, well, this guy's getting attention, that guy's getting attention. Families can tell them, hey, how come you're not being like that? You know, and all this and all that. And sometimes the program outgrows certain guys. And if they're not willing to keep working and get better. But it's our job to make sure that for us to think we're going to be oblivious and think that they're not hearing stuff that, and again, they choose to believe it or not believe it. And it's our job to just to paint the real story and let them see where we can all have to get better.
What should we look for from Corpus Christi?
You know, really well. I mean, they really are, and I really have a lot of respect for the program and what they do and how they've built that program. And you know, they're going to be solid. They can switch 1 through 4, maybe even 1 through 5, and a lot of ball screen action. They're going to do a lot of different things, spread the floor, and try to drive the ball. There's no doubt that, again, anybody that plays us that's what they're going to do, because we stretch out there, and those gaps are a little bit bigger when we're out trying to pressure, so teams are just going to naturally do that, and that's where we've got to get better. But they're going to come in, and I can tell you they're going to play hard, they're going to be well coached, and they're going to be aggressive, and they're going to know exactly what they're looking for.
How do you handle the month of December when things can get a little more sporadic, whether it be like exams or holidays or anything like that?
Well, it's a tough time. Because I think teams are still trying to find themselves and trying to get things going. You know, there's some guys can be banged up, and then you got to work it where you know that when you, first of all, this time of year is probably as hard a time of year to practice the way you really want to practice, because they want to play. I mean, they've been practicing all summer, all fall, all spring, and you get into here, you start getting into a routine at the beginning of the year where you're in some tournaments where you're playing, it seems like every day, every other day, and then there's a space, and then exams come in, but it's the way it is, and that's where mental toughness comes in. That's where you've got to be able to realize that we need to correct our mistakes in a shorter period of time. We need to be on the floor less as a team, a little bit more as individuals, because we need to continue to improve as individuals. But it's mental, and I think this is where you have a chance to develop some of that mental toughness.
One more. Grant just celebrated his 20th birthday. Did you have to confiscate any special treats from home?
No, I think Grant, he might be a closet sweet guy, you know, but you know, Grant we've watched him grow up. We have, and he knows he's got to continue to grow. But one thing he is very conscious about is his body. He knows he's got to still get in the kind of shape he wants to be in, and I'm sure Tom Kovacs getting him some snacks somewhere along the line. Whether it's popcorn, it's probably not just butter popcorn, it's probably caramel butter popcorn mixed together.
Chocolate covered.
Chocolate covered. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks,
Okay.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.